From the race for president to the race for governor, today we'll look at the results of our exclusive poll of likely Indiana voters and bring you our one-on-one interviews from the campaign trail with the candidates for governor, Senator Mike Braun, Jennifer McCormick, and Donald Rainwater. It's all ahead right now on this week's edition of In Focus. Thanks so much for joining us this week. The candidates for president continue to make their way across the country just days after what was apparently another failed assassination plot against the former president. Meantime, here in Indiana, our exclusive new polling from Emerson College and The Hill shows former President Trump with a 17-point lead here in the Hoosier State. And while other Republicans running statewide are also in the lead by larger margins than a poll we saw last week, they're not ahead by quite as much as the former president is in this latest poll. Today, Hannah Adamson takes a closer look at the numbers here in Indiana.
The latest Nexstar poll conducted by Emerson College Polling and The Hill surveyed 1,000 likely Hoosier voters after the last presidential debate. The poll had a roughly 3% margin of error, although pollsters tell me none of Indiana's key races this election cycle are competitive.
With less than 50 days to go before the election, a new poll shows roughly 57% of likely Hoosier voters say they'll support former President Donald Trump, while roughly 40% say they'll support Vice President Kamala Harris.
In Indiana, I don't see a pathway for Vice President Harris, and frankly, I don't see much of a pathway for other Democrats statewide on the ballot.
In the race for governor, the poll shows Republican Senator Mike Braun leading by 11 percentage points over Democrat Jennifer McCormick. 13% of voters said they were undecided. In the state attorney general's race, incumbent Todd Rokita leads by roughly 14 percentage points over Democratic challenger Destiny Wells. In that race, 16% of voters said they were undecided. But even if Democrats win the vast majority of undecided voters, experts say it most likely won't be enough to catch up with their Republican rivals.
So even if McCormick, for example, or Destiny Wells, are able to close it somewhat, they will not close it enough to win.
These independent voters look more like Republicans than they do Democrats.
In response to the poll, Indiana Democratic Party Chair Mike Schmuel says in part, quote, "The candidates have just started getting their messages out in this election, and Jennifer McCormick is already within striking distance of becoming the first woman to serve as governor in our state."
I know that there are some polls out there showing that there is momentum for Democrats. We're just not seeing any sort of wave for Democrats in Indiana.
Reporting in Indianapolis, I'm Hannah Adamson.
All right, Hannah, thanks. With those polling numbers, the matchup is now set for our debate next month. Mike Braun and Jennifer McCormick both qualifying for our debate October 2nd at 7 p.m. This week, we heard from the candidates on education as Braun rolled out his plan for schools.
Parents need to be the main stakeholders in their own kids' education.
We're losing a third of our teachers in that first 5 years, and that is not sustainable.
Website, we have a closer look at Braun's and McCormick's plans and how they compare, with Braun calling for more parental rights and McCormick calling for a higher base salary for teachers. Again, more of those interviews on our website. Meantime, we also spent some time out on the campaign trail recently with the candidates for governor. First, here's part of my interview with Senator Braun in Speedway, where I asked him about his running mate, Micah Beckwith.
I think this is the first time we've sat down since the state convention.
Yes.
You'd intended to run with someone else on the
Yes.
ticket. Julie McGuire was your chosen running mate. The delegates ended up selecting Micah Beckwith. He's known perhaps as being a bit further to the right. He has sort of that reputation.
Yep.
How's that relationship working out so far for the two of you?
That was mostly overstated because he's been wonderful on the campaign trail. Like anyone, you jump into it. In this day and age, you've got a track record. So,
but are you going to see eye to eye on all the issues, do you think?
I think we will, because just as I said there, I mean, I'm running for governor. He's my running mate. There's a part of our party that's been disappointed with Republicans in general because we talk about a lot of the things and we don't do them.
Just as a quick example, though,
Yeah.
of something that Micah Beckwith's been in the news for, he after January 6th said he felt that the situation was somehow divinely inspired. Just here in recent days, he said he wants to revisit childhood vaccine requirements. What do you make of some of those?
Well, I think everyone's got their own opinions in terms of what to talk about. I think the more you get out there on something that you're probably not going to get that into legislation. It may be your kind of ideal way of thinking about something, and there's merit to all conversation. Then you got to see, well, what is actually going to pass the finish line? And in general, he has been about the key issues I'm interested in. The practical stuff that most folks are going to agree with that we need to get done.
The debate that we're hosting in our studios October 2nd, what are you hoping to show voters on the debate stage next month in contrast to your opponent?
I would say that always look at your record. I think a lot of it's about what you've done, and it's so easy to campaign on what you might do. Jennifer can talk about that, but again, if you've never run a business, what would you actually know what to do? Because this would be kind of theoretical. To me, it's been practical. I've lived through that for 37 years.
She also thinks abortion is going to be a big issue again this year. She thinks it'll be a motivating issue for people to vote for her campaign. Are you concerned it will be?
I mean, I think in our state, I was a big believer that it needed to come back to the states. On that issue, you'll never homogenize it across 50 states. Her side of the aisle won't embrace anything nationally that restricts it, period. In the meantime, our state legislature passed an abortion bill based on some exceptions.
You would have voted for it if you were still in the state legislature?
I mean, we're a pro-life state, and the legislators, and the governor, ended up signing it, and you'd hope that would reflect the cross-section of Hoosiers. That doesn't mean you're going to please everyone.
You feel you would have done the same if you were governor or if you were
Yes,
in the state
because
house
I think it was, if they took time, they thought it out. If you'd want to change it, you'd have to bring it back to the legislature. But to me, it's passed muster constitutionally, and I haven't seen any legislator lose his or her job on account of it.
What else do you want to tell voters between now and Election Day about your candidacy and what you want to do as governor?
There's so much about those issues that we all hear about. Are you just giving a campaign slogan, or do you have a proven track record of what you've done? Mine has been from Main Street, signing the front side of a paycheck, doing what most don't like to do when you've done that, get into government, and done a good job there on a school board, as a state legislator, and as a U.S. Senator. I would ask my opponent, Jennifer McCormick, to kind of script out how her background plays into all that. We're all kind of talking about the same general themes, but who's got the record of actually getting it done?
Senator Braun, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, now to my recent interview with Democratic candidate Jennifer McCormick, who joined me to talk about this year's election after a campaign event in McCordsville earlier this month.
The change at the top of the ticket seems to have enthused the party. Do you think that makes a difference at the state level too?
Yeah, they're energized. They're ready to go. And I think it's not, again, just about Democrats. It's a lot of independents and moderate Republicans. I think they're very informed of what's on the line. I think people are concerned about their kids, their own health care. And so they're ready. I mean, it's a level of excitement I haven't felt in Indiana for a long time.
You mentioned the polls here. You feel you guys are close.
I feel good. I feel good. We're right where we want to be in this point.
Mike Braun's running mate this week posted about childhood vaccine requirements, saying it was time to have a conversation about revisiting those requirements. He's made other controversial comments before on other topics. Braun told us this week he wants to focus on kitchen table issues, not issues that are divisive. What's your response to some of Beckwith's statements on these topics?
And I don't follow his posts, but a lot of times people will share them with me because they're so offensive. I mean, one in particular was we were coming off of a shooting in a school in Georgia, and then he did did a huge post with a bunch of folks lined up with machine guns and said, this is what our border should look like. And it's things like that that just aren't well received and or appreciated. And, it's scary, it's frustrating, people are exhausted by it. So, it's one of those things, they can say one thing, but their actions are reflecting something different. And so it's concerning, but we're worried about our own race. We're keeping our head down. We're hitting it hard. We're listening to Hoosiers. We're traveling. And, they're just extreme. I just don't agree with it. The contrast is so clear. It's about saving democracy or not. It's about public education or, defunding and attacking public education. It's about women's reproductive freedoms or going further in that space. It's about being a champion for kids and relentlessly being a champion for kids, or we're not going to prioritize kids. So the choice is clear. And
what are you hoping to show voters when it comes to that choice when you and Senator Braun are on the debate stage together in our studios next month?
Yeah, I mean, I respect him. He's been a public servant, but I think that just showing that, my experience as a state superintendent, my experience as an educator, that I'm willing to reach across the aisle in bipartisanship, which we haven't seen from him. I'm willing to say, hey, we support public education and champion for kids, which we've not seen from him. So just being myself, telling people who I am, hoping to win their votes, and showing them that there is a choice for common sense and civility and bipartisanship, and that I'm not owned by a party. I'm not owned by one particular leader. I'm in it for the people. I'm in it for Hoosiers.
Some reporters yesterday had been pressing Senator Braun for more specifics on his policy plans. Do you think he needs to be more specific about some of the things he would want to do as governor?
Yeah, I mean, we rolled out our policy plans, our common sense plans, and they've been very, very well received. We will continue to do that. I think anytime someone runs for a higher office in a state, we deserve to know where they stand. And I don't know why anyone would trust someone who's not willing to show their hand, and this is where I am on ethics, or this is where I am with water or education, or, whatever the case may be. Yeah, I think we deserve to know where he is on issues. We're energized and ready to go. I just feel like Hoosiers deserve that. I mean, they deserve to have a candidate who's willing to work tirelessly for them and win them over, and I will continue to try to do so.
Thanks for letting us spend some time with you today.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being here.
All right, finally, we also spoke one-on-one with Libertarian candidate Donald Rainwater, who was at an event in Indy with the Libertarian candidate for president earlier this month.
What are you hearing from voters at events like this about what they want to see out of our next governor?
Well, I think what I hear is, here again, people want government to let them live their lives. Let them make the decisions for themselves as to how they're going to pursue their destiny. And as we say as libertarians, if you're not interfering with someone else, if you're not infringing on someone else's rights, and you just want to be left alone, government should allow you to pursue a business and a home and a family the way that you want to pursue that, not the way the government dictates.
You've had a lot to say about a number of different issues along the way on the campaign trail, whether it's property taxes, cannabis. You told me recently you think you can pull from both conservatives and liberals in Indiana, that your base of support can come from both of the major parties. Do you think that's the case?
Well, I can tell you that here this evening I've talked to at least two people who are running for office as Democrats who told me they voted for me in 2020. And they likely will vote for me again. So I think there is a number of people who, whether they lean to the right or lean to the left, they understand that the libertarian philosophy will allow them to pursue the life that they want to live without government getting in the way.
All right, we'll have more of those interviews next week. In the meantime, we're talking with our panel up next about these latest polling numbers we showed you and how they compare to the last poll we saw. Plus, Trump and Harris back on the campaign trail after the latest foiled assassination attempt. We'll talk about that and the impact of this week's Fed interest rate cut up next.